Now, 32 states in Nigeria have been earmarked as high-risk flood-prone areas. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Prof Joseph Utsev, stated this on Tuesday in Abuja while briefing journalists on the 2024 annual food outlook, or rather flood outlook, for the country. At the event, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency disclosed that a total of 148 local government areas in Lagos, Kano, Delta, and 28 other states had been categorized as high flood risk areas. On the seasonal outlook, Utsev pointed out that the high flood risk areas would experience the situation between April and November 2024. The agency called for effective measures to mitigate the expected effects of flooding on citizens. Now, to discuss this, we are joined by the Executive Director of Renevlyn Development Initiative, Philip Jakpor. Philip, good to have you on this morning. Philip, hope you can hear me.
Thanks for having me.
Great. All right, so Philip, my first question, what methodology did the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency employ to identify the high-risk flood-prone areas across the 32 states?
Well, I think the starting point is to actually commend the agency for the good work it has done in terms of early warnings. And this is not the first time it has been doing this, or it has done this. Since 2012, when we had the very, very intense rainfall that flooded about 21 states then, every year, the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency has become better. Of course, they use satellite monitoring and every other technology that is out there for prediction of weather patterns. So we need to commend the agency for that. And I think the warnings should be taken seriously, especially by state governments and agencies like the National Emergency Management Agency, which is supposed to swing into action now.
Okay, so last year we saw a very, very bad situation. Was it last year or 2 years ago in Delta State especially, and even here in Lagos? So could you elaborate on the specific factors that contributes to the high flood risk in these areas? Let's say Lagos, Kano, and Delta State.
Well, at a bigger level, we should be talking about climate change, which has resulted in excessive rains these days. Like I said, from 2012, this has been noticeable. But that is at that level. At the level of the floodings that we see in states like Lagos, Lagos, the water runs off at a point. But I think the worst we've seen is like in Lokoja, maybe Bayelsa, Delta, Anambra. There was an incident, I think, was it Anambra or so, 2 years ago, when we had a COP6 room floating and competing for space, in the waters, living people. Now, I think the intervention on the part of the state governments has been a problem in terms of addressing these flooding issues. Now, we've heard NIMET, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency 1. You will anticipate that state governments would now swing into action, opening the flood, ensuring that people don't build on floodplains, opening the gutters, opening the waterways to ensure that water passes. But unfortunately, it has been a recurring decimal that year in, year out. It is only after the flood or during the flooding that we start hearing state governments talk about things they're supposed to do and things they're not supposed to do. Now, but there's something else missing with the minister's announcement. The minister talked about flooding, but we didn't hear, for instance, about the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon, which has been responsible most times for the kind of floodings we have seen in different parts of the country. And I think that is worrying. Right now, we should be hearing that maybe the Lagdo Dam in northern Cameroon, they're having heavy rains and the Lagdo Dam is going to be opened. I think that is what we should be looking at. So discussions should be on between the Nigerian government and the Cameroonian government to notify Nigerians, the Nigerian authorities, when that is likely to happen. In the past, the warnings always come after the waters have been released. And like I always say, the fault is ours, because when the Lagdo Dam was built in the late 1970s, Nigeria was supposed to build a buffer dam, the Dasin Hausa Dam, I think, which was supposed to assimilate waters once it is released from Cameroon. But unfortunately, we have not done this. And it has become very, very costly, because year in, year out, we have loss of agricultural lands, loss of lives, placement of people, and it comes at a huge cost. In 2022, I think Nigeria lost about 720 billion to agricultural losses. Not talk about human lives that are not that you cannot replace. So I think if the state governments are proactive in terms of heeding the warnings of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency by opening up the dams, by opening up the waterways, clearing the drains, ensuring that people who live in the waterways move to higher ground. Instead they do those things, we may not make any headway. It will be the same situation as we've had since 2012.
Well, thank you very much then. That will be all. Thanks for joining us. It was good to have you on.